Public Works and Safety, roll call. Here.
Here.
Yeah. Are there any conflict of interest statements?
No.
No.
Approval of the minutes of the meeting of November 2nd.
I move to approve the minutes from November 2nd.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item 5, correspondence. Item A, under correspondence, local road and bridge matching grant agreement between the Indiana Department of Transportation and the City of Hammond for the Holman Avenue hewn to 200 feet north of 141st Street project. This is a 50-50 match.
And that is for the current one. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those against, motion passes. Item B is another local roads and bridges matching grant agreement between the Indiana Department of Transportation and the City of Hammond for 173rd Street, Indianapolis Boulevard East, 1,300 feet to Woodmar Avenue, and from the Indiana Harbor Belt Railroad West, 1,750 feet. It's a 50-50 grant.
What year is this grant? Steen here?
D?
What grant year is this one? The hewn is the 2017, correct?
Item B.
So these two, Holman and 173rd, both are grants that we received, were approved this year. We must be under design and awarded the contract by April of next year.
Okay.
So it's a 2018 award. So we were awarded it this year for expenditures in 18.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those against, motion passes. Item C, change order number 1 for Van Buren Avenue lighting improvements with an increase in cost of $2,520.03 received from Nice Engineering. So Nice is recommending approval, right?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item D, agreement for professional services with SEH of Indiana LLC for engineering services in 2018 for 6th District Lighting Improvements Project. Colorado Avenue between 165th and 169th, Delaware Avenue between 165th and 169th, New Jersey between 163rd and 165th, and Nevada from 163rd and 165th Street. And I think the dollar amount's about $60,000 on the last page. Yeah, right here. $61,885.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
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 Item E, correspondence received from Councilman Dave Warple requesting $5,000 in gaming funds be allocated for various engineering services. That's for like routine engineering, Dean? These $5,000, this is for like general engineering services?
It's a typical assignment that we do
Right.
every year to distribute.
That's what I thought. Do I have a motion to approve?
Do we not have the mayor sign off on these?
They're all basically the same.
Yeah, but is the mayor supposed to sign off on them?
I don't know.
Doesn't he normally sign off on these?
Is the mayor supposed to sign off on these too?
Typically not with engineering services,
Okay.
only construction projects usually signed off.
Okay.
All right. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Item F, correspondence received from Councilman Bill Emerson requesting $5,000 in gaming funds to be allocated for various engineering services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Item G, correspondence received from Councilman Anthony Higgs requesting $5,000 in gaming funds be allocated for various engineering services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item H, correspondence received from Councilman Pete Torres requesting $5,000 of gaming funds be allocated for various engineering services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item I, correspondence received from Councilman Mark Kalwinski requesting $5,000 of gaming funds be allocated for various engineering services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item J, correspondence received from Councilman Scott Rakos requesting $5,000 of gaming funds be allocated for various engineering services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item K, correspondence received from Councilman Anthony Higgs requesting $2,520.03 of gaming funds be used for change order number 1 of the Van Buren Lighting Improvement Project, and that was approved earlier in the meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item L, correspondence received from Anthony Higgs requesting $12,000 of gaming funds be allocated for French drains in the alleys of the 3rd District.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item M, correspondence received from Antia Group requesting lane restrictions at Roxana Drive and White Oak Avenue on November 15, 2017 through November 17 for groundwater sampling. That's a pipeline corridor, so they're probably just trying to verify that there's no issues.
No problem with this? Motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Item N, correspondence received from Safety Services and Supply Incorporated requesting Soul Street, Carroll Street, and Maywood Avenue be closed from November 8 through November 11 for paving for the Norfolk Southern. It's going to be cold, but they can see what they can do if they can bring out some heated asphalt. Oh, they are? Okay. Yeah, November 8.
Motion to-
yesterday.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Item O, correspondence received from Chief of Police John Doty requesting certified Spanish-speaking officer specialty pay to Sergeant Eusebio Gonzalez, Sergeant Robert Maldonado, Sergeant Joel Orozco, Corporal Sofia Rodriguez, Corporal Gabriel Malabi. This is worse than some of the Polish names. Officer Gabriel Nava and Corporal Carmen Ramirez, effective October 25th, 2017, and disposal authorization submitted for approval.
Motion to approve the chief's request.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Item P, Chris.
Before we start my portion, because my portion always takes a very long time and there are quite a few people, there are some citizens who want to come and ask about a protest permit, and I would ask if you would just take them now so they don't have to sit through my entire demolition proceedings. They're in the front row here.
Is that on the agenda?
Good morning, thank you. My name's Scott Holdison, and I'm with Progressive Democrats of America in the Calumet region. And it's not necessarily a protest, but a rally in support of common sense gun laws. And we would ask that a permit be issued for our rally, and it's going to be on Indianapolis Boulevard at Cabela Drive.
On the street?
No,
On-
it's not going to be in the street. It's going to be on the easement on the side of the street. And this is going to be November 18th, Saturday, November 18th, from 1 to 3.
No, that's state highway right away. Plus, it's also the exit ramp for the Borman.
Well, we're talking about the southwest corner.
Southwest corner.
Past Cabela's Drive, south of Cabela's Drive?
Yes, south of
Cabela's
Cabela's.
Drive is City of Hammond property.
The wooded corner?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Trying to pedestrian bridge.
Yeah, there's a state highway easement that runs down to the river, but I'm not sure what the exact width of it is. If they would cut it, maybe we'd be able to tell. So, how many people are we talking? I'm kind of worried about somebody getting hurt because they fly off the Borman coming down that exit ramp.
Right, well, this is on the other side from the exit ramp, on the other side of Cabela Drive from the exit ramp.
Right?
So
But that's where the
it shouldn't
taper,
be-
that's where the taper comes in, so everybody's racing there to get into the regular traffic lane.
Here's,
Yeah, you want to bring that up here?
We'll take-
sure.
Let me see that.
The wooded corner. The only corner that's not developed.
Is it ours?
Well, I don't know. We're talking about this area.
We may not own that.
Yeah, the state owns it. Up to about,
And I had no problem with it.
you already talked to them? Yeah,
Yes,
because right
sir.
up to about here is state highway right away, because they have a sewer that runs through there.
Mhm.
But this is the ramp I'm concerned about, because this taper comes together right over here someplace. That's the right of way? So how much can you tell about how much the state owns beyond this? These are probably 125-foot lots, so you're probably looking at 40 feet. There's probably about a 40-foot stretch here that's state highway right away. Then the rest is private property owned by Cabela's or Walmart or whatever. When's this gonna happen?
November 18th.
Chris,
A week from Saturday.
there, I'm assuming there's about 40 foot of right of way off the edge of pavement there. And it's pretty much a straight shot through there.
As long as they stay on the right of way and not a track.
But it is state highway right of way. I think they need to get something from the state saying, hey, this is fine with us.
The state said it's okay, as long as we're not in the street.
Okay.
Is there anything that we have to do?
Yeah.
Then it's not our territory, right?
Do we need to see something? Did she get it in writing or did she have it just verbally?
Who? That doesn't ring a bell. Does that ring a bell with you guys? No? Could you get her to maybe send you an email stating that it's okay and then get a copy up to the law department? You can get it over. Yeah. Yeah, that would be the only thing. We're concerned about somebody getting hurt out there because that is an extremely busy intersection. Well, sometimes the cars don't stay in the street. I don't know. What do you think, Chris? That's-
Consider up to 16, as long as we have NDOT's okay, the city doesn't have an issue with it.
Okay. As long as we have something that says that, because we might get a call to our police department saying, hey, there's people out there disrupting traffic. Do they have the right to be there? We would like to have something from the state that says, hey, not a problem as long as you stay off the actual pavement. Okay?
Okay,
So
thank
we don't
you.
really need to take any action today.
We'll just put this on the agenda for the 16th.
Okay. Yeah, Lynn's the Board of Works secretary. You can call her in the law department, and if you can get a copy of an email over to her, you could tell the state, hey, the city wants something stating that it is okay with you guys. Okay.
Item P,
Item P,
yes, good morning, Board.
Morning.
We have several demolitions here. And we're ready to proceed.
C.
Yes, 1111, 177th Place Garage only. Is anyone here on 1111, 177th Place? Good morning, sir. Could you please state your name?
Ron Shorter?
Mr. Shorter, are you the owner of 1111, 177th Place?
Yes,
Is this the condition of the garage?
yes.
Showing you several pictures. You see those? You agree that's the condition of the garage?
Yes.
Okay, if I could approach to the board to show the condition Mr. Shorter has agreed to. It's the city's position that given the condition of the property and given the report presented to the board by the inspections department that has been entered into the board's record, that we would request the board affirm the order of demolition and allow us to go to bid on same. Mr. Shorter, you have an opportunity now to present your side of the case to the board and present any evidence you might have.
And I was gonna get it towed down and get Donnelly to do it, but I ended up going to rehab, so I didn't get a chance to get it done. I was in rehab, so about May, I'm gonna have a whole new garage put up.
Okay, so here's kind of what we would suggest, Mr. Shorter, if you're in agreement. We would ask the board to affirm the demolition order. You would still have the opportunity to knock it down yourself, but if for some reason you don't have that ability or you don't get around to getting it knocked down, we would then proceed to bids. Those would probably happen in January, and then the work would probably begin in February or March. Yeah, depending on how bad of a winter we have. So if you have no objection to that, that's the way we'd like to proceed. And then if you do self-demo it, of course, that's absolutely your prerogative, and you can just go to the inspection department, building department, and get a permit.
Okay.
You okay with that? Yes? Okay, so it looks like we have an agreement for it. We would request that the order be affirmed as presented by agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes.
1573 Beverly. Is anyone here on 1573 Beverly? Mr. President, there being no one present, we do have good service on this matter. We would request that the demolition order be affirmed as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes.
5936 Birch, I believe Mr. Chapman is present here today. He is the owner of the property. Mr. Chapman? Yes. I've had an opportunity to speak with him. He has pulled some permits. There have been, I think the electric has actually been green tagged already, and NIPSCO has turned it on. It's my understanding he's going to continue to work on it. We would request this be set over for status for January 25th. I would also, however, mention on the record, Mr. Chapman, that there is a legal, or I should say, legal, there appears to be a homestead exemption on the property, and I don't believe this is your primary residence. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this form, and if you could please just make sure by the time you come back in January to have this filed with the auditor so that homestead exemption could be removed, because we don't want you to have an issue down at the county with a homestead that shouldn't be on there.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
So January 25th, do you have anything else that you'd like to say to the board?
No, I don't know. The only thing, I would like to save the house. I don't want it to go into demolition. I currently been working on the house, like taking everything out of the house pretty much, cleaning it up. You know, I spent a lot, $8,000 so far, taking things out of the house, down to the bone. And we're gonna do a new system in the house for heating and cooling, and for, the electric has currently been done and approved by the village. So we're constantly putting money in the house and working on the house and trying to get it back. What took me so long, I had a heart attack 1 month after I pulled my first permit, and that kind of stopped me for about a year. But currently, I'm pretty much recovered, and I'm back there trying to get it done.
So we'll set it over.
All I need is a little time.
So we'll set it over for January 25th for status, please.
Okay.
All right,
Motion to
thank you,
approve
sir.
for status on January 25th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes.
6716 California. Anyone here for 6716 California? Mr. President, we do have good service on this property, and given the condition and the materials we presented to the board, we would request the order be affirmed as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes.
5462 Calumet. This is a property. Anyone here on 5462 Calumet? It's a property just here out of Sibley and Calumet. It's one of the buildings that, you know where the bank building is? It's just to the south of there. It's the only other building really standing, not the little one. but it's a couple down. And it is it's been, electric and water have been off since 2013. It's boarded up. We'd request that the board enter the order and affirm the order as presented. We do have good service.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes.
6501 Calumet. This is on the corner, on the actually on the southeast corner of Calumet and 165th. It's the old carpet store. The roof's collapsed. We believe that the owner, who is listed as Mr. and Mrs. Stemper, Mr. Stemper, I believe, is deceased, and there's falling brick, and as I mentioned, there's a collapsed ceiling. We would request that the order be affirmed as presented. We do have good service.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
229 Doty. Mr. Sword was here earlier. We've agreed to continue this matter for a hearing on December 14th.
Motion to approve for hearing on December 14th.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes.
908 Drackert, garage only. I believe that Ms. Austin is here. And I had a very nice discussion with Ms. Austin and explained to her the process. She's fine with us going forward with the demolition order today. And I explained to her that the bidding would take some time. We'd probably bid the matter out in January. She's going to see if she can then take a look at the bids and afford it herself. And if not, we'll discuss with her the next step. So if we could, I think by agreement, Ms. Austin, of course, you can introduce yourself to the board and say anything you'd like. We're going to request that the order be affirmed as presented.
My intention was to tear it down anyway, but I was waiting on financial matters, so it's okay.
Okay. I will make a motion to affirm the order.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes.
1114 Eaton, garage. 1114 Eaton, anyone here on that? Given the condition of the garage, Mr. President and board, we would request the order be affirmed as presented. We do have good service.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes.
1136 Eaton, garage only. The owner is listed as Lewis. We have a white frame garage with some missing pieces, no door and broken windows. Given the condition of the garage, we do have good service. We'd request the order be affirmed as presented.
No one's here on this one?
1136 Eaton.
Okay. Motion to affirm the order.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes.
7217 Harrison. Mr. President, the owners are listed as Oros, which we believe they are deceased. There's been no estate open. The son is otherwise unavailable. We show that the city's been cutting the grass since 2013. Water's been off since 2015. It's a vacant home with some broken windows that are boarded up. Given the condition of the property and that we do have good service, we request that the board affirm the order as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes.
7234 Jarnicki. Oh, Mr. Kovachkov's here. We spent all day with him yesterday.
I did. Good morning, board.
This is a property board that's familiar to the board. Listed as Mr. Callahan is the owner. He lives in Knox, I believe. We've been trying to work with Mr. Kovachkov's client on the file. It continues to be a nuisance property in the city, and it's boarded up and vacant. Garage is open at least the last time we saw it. There's a cut and clean citation that's back in front of the court next Thursday, November 16th, and $1,947 of cut and clean fees owed to the city in 2017. We do have some photos that Chris is getting to the board. We're going to show this to Mr. Kovachkov and present these to the board. These are from March and from June. So, Mike, I don't know if you have any objection to any of these.
No.
Okay.
No objection.
All right. And then I'll turn it over to Mr. Kovachkov for his position on this property.
Good morning, board. Attorney Michael Kovachkov on behalf of Mr. Callahan. The situation that's going on with this client, or with my client, is that there has been some ordinance violations over the past 2 years that have been pending. My client, since he has resided there, the ordinance violations have precluded him from actually accessing the property. The property was actually deemed uninhabitable. He's made several attempts to go make repairs. Problem being that every time he goes there, seemingly the police get called and he's removed from the property. So what I've done, and I believe Tom Novak's here. I've talked to Tom and I've talked to Attorney Cantar. What we plan on doing is trying to coordinate our efforts with both on the ordinance side and on the demolition side. We'd ask that we not issue the demolition order just yet, simply because that would start my client's 10-day time period in which to appeal, and we still don't have access to the property. So I'm not opposed to resetting this down the road once my client has access to the property, but he needs to be able to gain any evidence he can to be able to properly prepare or have me properly prepare his appeal if necessary. All in all, what's likely going to happen is we're going to get a rehabilitation agreement together, we're going to get with the ordinance violation department, and we're going to get this thing worked out. I just don't want to waive his right to appeal simply because we don't have access to the property yet. So we'd ask that we wait to enter the demolition order until my client is able to coordinate his efforts with both departments, gain access to the property, and gain any evidence he needs should he decide to appeal, which likely won't happen, but just in case.
If I may. Board, we'd like to present Mr. Kearney, the head of the Department of Inspection.
We've been dealing with this property for the last 4 years. It isn't always vacant because we have homeless or people that are not good for the neighborhood sleeping in there. We boarded up on several occasions. We did mark it uninhabitable. There's no electric, no water, although the water situation has been resolved because you got a permit, got the work done. There's cut and cleans that have been outstanding. There's board ups that are outstanding. He needs to get that taken care of, pay for the rehab agreement, let the inspection be done, pay for the inspection, get the rehab agreement, just like any other property that we brought in front of this board. This has been a nuisance for the last 4 years. I've been there at least 4 times myself with requests from the police department, removing vagrants that have been sleeping in there, busting into the house, stealing electric from the neighbors next door, defecating in buckets, sleeping in the garage. This should not be allowed. If they want to go forward, pay the cut and cleans, pay for the demo inspection, I see no reason not to enter the order. If they want to cooperate, that'd be fine.
Board, if I could respond to that briefly. The purpose that we're here today is to determine whether or not this property in particular should be demolished. Everyone here is aware of the standards that require the entry of that. I'm not saying that I'm not asking to dismiss this matter. I'm just asking that we postpone it until my client's able to have access to the property. This is a procedural matter, not necessarily whether or not factually it should be on the demolition list. I have no ability to gain access to this property to gain the facts necessary I would need to properly prepare an appeal should my client ask me.
Is Mr. Callahan aware of the condition of this home?
He is. He's made several attempts.
Did he make an attempt to come here today? Has he made attempts to come and speak to code enforcement at all about the property at all?
Yes, he has. He's made several attempts, and I've also...
And he's got no satisfaction whatsoever, is what you're stating?
Correct.
This is my concern. I first started discussing this with Attorney Kovachkov on September 12th, so that's 2 months ago. If Mr. Callahan hasn't done anything since September 12th, what's to say he's going to do anything if I set this over till next week or the week after? I mean, he said 60 days to come into code enforcement. I explained what had to be done back on September 12th to the attorney, that he needed to come in, have an inspection, pay for an inspection, have a rehabilitation agreement. And I'm afraid if we set this over 2 weeks, we set this over a week, we set this over a month, nothing's going to change. If Mr. Callahan lives in Knox and doesn't want to be bothered with this.
What I would note to the board that, all of our orders are to repair or demolish. So it's not just a situation where we're saying this is the condition that you need to demolish the property. If it's sufficient for that, then of course we move forward with bidding the demolition. But if it's not, and it's something that just needs to be repaired, that's why we have the option for the rehab agreements, pay for the inspection, and this board is very familiar with that procedure, and many, many people have availed themselves of that. So, because it's a continuing problem, Mr. Kovachkov's only been in the process since September, and I understand that. But because it's been a continuing problem for the city for so long, and given the condition and the evidence that we presented, we would request that the order be affirmed, and that'll give Mr. Vachkov's client still the opportunity to come in, pay the $150, get the inspection done, get the rehab agreement going, and then we can monitor it, just like we always do. I mean, I think the board's very familiar with the fact that this department doesn't just have an order entered and then the next day goes and knocks it down. It takes time.
And I'm familiar with the time board. I have no, if I had access to the property today, I really wouldn't be objecting to it.
Well, so you understand that you're not going to gain access to the property until the inspection is paid for, it's completed, and a rehab agreement is entered into between your client and the inspections department.
I understand.
Correct.
That.
So has there been any effort whatsoever on his behalf to schedule that inspection, to get the rehab agreement moving? I mean, that's the only way he's going to gain access.
I understand that. According to what he's telling me, yes, he's made those efforts. He's actually paid up fees. I called the ordinance violation department to follow up just to see if he has paid those fees. They can't tell me, they can't talk to me because I'm not Mr. Callahan. I asked him to send me receipts. Unfortunately, that conversation was last night, and I haven't received them yet.
I guess, and it's just, I just have a follow-up question for Mr. Attorney from the inspections department, whether or not, Mr. Attorney, you are aware of whether Mr. Callahan has paid for the inspection.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, and do you know whether or not the board of fees in the amount of $1,947 have been paid?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Thank you. And, you know, if there's a communication problem from Mr. Vachkov's client, that's fine. And we're happy to, you know, I'm sure Mr. Attorney would be happy to take a look at any receipts that he has when he gets them, so that if he's mistaken, we can correct it. But as far as the inspection department is concerned, there are no indication that he has called regarding the inspection or that he has paid the board of fees. So again, I think to get this moving in the right direction, it is important for the board to take some action and affirm that order to repair or demolish, and hopefully that will get moving.
When do we anticipate that these properties on the list will be bid out?
I would say probably 6 to 8 weeks.
Again, board, my concern is not the timeline in which the property will be demolished or even bid out. My issue is with the waiver, or not even waiver, but inability to appeal under Indiana code due to the fact that we don't have access to the property. If we can stay the 10-day, if we can toll the 10-day period in which my client has time to appeal, I'll withdraw my objection.
We can set this over for next week. If he can, you know, if Mr. Callahan, as he says, is so anxious to get started on this, we can give him 7 days and we can do this next week.
That would be great.
But if
Acceptable?
nothing else changes between now and next week, as nothing has changed in September to now, then we're going to move forward.
That would be fine.
November 16th would be our request.
Okay. I'll make a motion to set for status on November
Can
16th.
we please ask that Mr. Callahan be present so that we don't have to go through this third-party word of mouth and I paid, I didn't pay? If he could appear and show us his receipt, then obviously that would clarify a lot of matters.
We certainly would like some documentation if his appearance is on, if he's not able to be here.
Second.
He could go down and pay for the inspection right when he's here.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Thank you.
All right, 7619 Linden. I believe we have Ms. Smith here today on behalf of the bank. It is our position to the board that we would like the demolition order to be affirmed as presented. It is also our understanding, and this is good news, that the bank is actually also trying to get bids for the demolition of the property, which we, of course, would welcome. But we have showed the property condition to Ms. Smith, and I think this is kind of news to her. She hasn't had any photos before, and we would request that the order be affirmed as presented.
Board, we were just going to ask for an extension, but if the bidding is not until January, I can assume that if the bids come through for the bank and they can demolish before January, there should be no issues. If there are any, then I can contact Mr. Smith.
I'll make a motion to affirm the order.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes.
1148 Summer, shed only. Mr. Anderson, I believe, is the owner. I'm not sure. Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. President and Board, this is actually a piece of property that was left behind when the house was demolished. The shed at last gander has broken windows. The door cannot be secured. Yard was overgrown over the summer, and there's debris in the yard, and the roof's failing. We do have some photos for both Mr. Anderson, here's your copy, as well as to present to the board. Mr. Anderson, do you have any objection to these photos?
It looks like they were taken from on the property.
All right, then I'm going to present them to the board.
No, it looks like they were taken from on the property. I didn't get my permission for that.
We would request that these photos be, let me lay the foundation. These
Very well.
actually depict the condition of the property in and around August of 2017.
I object to the admission of these photographs on other grounds.
That's fine, I just asked you the question though, do these accurately depict the condition of the property?
I don't think we're at that stage in the proceedings.
For the board to determine, sir, I'm just asking you questions, do these accurately depict the condition of the property on August 21st, 2017?
I like to stand mute.
Okay, Mr. Castro, would you please come forward? Mr. Castro, are you the inspector for this district of the city?
Hold on, I object to the admission of this evidence.
They haven't ruled on it yet. I'm setting another foundation if you're going to stand.
So you're gonna put it before the trier of fact and parade this whole thing out, and then they're gonna rule on whether they see the
I thought you
evidence?
were going to remain mute, now you're talking. You're going to talk or you're going to remain mute?
I'm going to remain mute with your question.
Okay, then I'm going to ask Mr. Castro, would you?
But only with respect to your question to me about how that, I can't speak to that.
Well, let me lay a proper foundation then, sir. Mr. Castro, are you the inspector for this area of the city, 1148 Summer Street?
Yes, I am.
And are you familiar with the property?
Yes, I am.
And did you have the opportunity in August 21st of 2017 to take photos of the property?
Yes, I did.
And did you take these photos?
Yes, I did.
And do these photos truly and accurately represent the condition of the property on that date?
Yes, they do.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Members of the board, I request.
Hold on, I get cross-examination, it says so in your letter.
If you'd like to voir dire the witness as to my examination regarding the foundation, you can ask the board that. Let me make my motion to admit the photos. So, based on the testimony of Mr. Castro, the city would request that, the inspection department would request that the photos be admitted.
Objection, I have the right to voir dire the witness. And I respect the council's, and I request the council's permission to do so. The board, sorry. Very well. Mr. Castro, how do you know that these are good photographs? Did you enter the property to take them?
I took them from the sidewalk in the city property that's located next door, and using the zoom on my camera, which is a 10 times zoom camera, I'm able to zoom in on pictures.
That's interesting.
Some of them might have been taken from the edge of the property.
From the edge of the property.
There is no definite property line set up.
I see, so this one was taken from the edge of the property?
Possibly, like I said.
Possibly,
I have it.
From which corner of the property then was this taken?
I would object to this line of questioning.
He can't say where he stood when he took the pictures? That seems okay.
Let me voice my objection.
Very well.
The objection is that I lay a foundation for the admission of these photos. The questions have to pertain to whether or not it's a proper foundation, namely, whether or not these truly and accurately represent the condition of the property on the state, not where they were taken. So I object to the line of questioning.
Very well, but if I can demonstrate.
Rule on my objection. If you want to respond to my objection, that's fine, but otherwise let the board rule on my objection.
I'm responding to your objection. Now, it seems to me that if the question here is whether these are true and accurate depictions, that it bears heavily upon that where the photographer was standing. I think that I should have the right to ask those questions, and I don't think that is even anything out of the ordinary.
Sir, is that going to change the condition of the property?
No, it's not.
Thank you.
That would defy the laws of physics.
Thank you.
Now,
Property is what the property is, correct?
the property is what the property is. In
Today.
response to your tautological assertion, yes, the property is what the property is.
Let's just keep it real simple.
And I will,
real simple here.
And I will prove that for you in one step by saying that's the definition of the word is.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Okay. Objection sustained. Do you have any other questions you'd like to ask the inspector here, sir, regarding the admission of this evidence?
I would like to ask if he ever entered the property. I'd like to hear, well, first of all, I want to, it's not irrelevant because.
As to the foundation, I believe it is, Mr. Anderson.
Right, as the foundation, it's irrelevant. As the admissibility, it's not.
Well, the whole purpose of laying the foundation is to admit the.
Well, there's several reasons that evidence could not be admitted. Foundation is one of them.
That's fine. That was proper foundation and trying to get these in evidence. So I would object, it's irrelevant regarding.
So do you guys mind swearing this witness? Is there somebody here who can swear him in?
Sure, I can swear him in. I'm an officer.
Please.
Please. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Said it.
And after you've been sworn, do you change any of the, you can lower your hand. After you've been sworn, do you change any of the testimony you give today?
No, sir.
And again, go for the commission before.
Then I have the right to voir dire. Is that correct? Did you enter the property to take these pictures?
And like I said, I might have been at the edge of the property. There is no defined property line, so I couldn't tell for sure if I was on the property of that lot or the city lot next door.
What about this one where you're reflected in the window of the property taking the picture from about 2 feet from the shed?
I don't know the exact property line, so I can't tell
Ah.
where on the property I was.
So you may or may not have entered the property. What about this one where you're taking pictures inside the door of the property?
That one I was taken because the property was unsecure and I had to,
Okay.
take the picture so you could see the insecure property.
Sure, but did you enter the property to take it?
I was probably on the lot, yes.
Yeah, you're on the lot, okay.
As an inspector with the city of Hammond, I am authorized to investigate.
So, This one from, this one that's taken inside this one that's taken inside the,
As an investigator with the city of Hammond, I am authorized to enter property to investigate complaints against the property.
that's a legal conclusion. Your reply is uninteresting. What about this one from inside the
Sir,
shed?
if you're going to ask him questions, you need to allow him to finish his statement.
I understand that.
I would ask that he does not insult the witness after he gives his answer. It's very obvious, Mr. Anderson, you believe you're the smartest person in the room. We'll let you speak and we'll let you respond, but I would strongly request that you do not insult the employees of the city of Hammond that are here to do their job.
I don't think I said anything insulting. I said he had come to a legal conclusion and that it was uninteresting.
Address the board, not me, sir.
Board, I did not ask this man whether he was authorized to enter the property or not. That was beyond the scope of the question. And I do not think it's insulting to ask him to refrain from legal conclusions in his testimony. He's here to testify as the matters of fact.
That's not your job, sir.
I'm sorry, what's not
It's not your job to tell him not to come to legal conclusions. That's our job. So I would suggest you stick to your questions and allow him to respond.
Very well. What about this picture? So bearing in mind that you think you're authorized to enter the property and to take pictures, what about this one from inside the shed? Well, did you take that from on the property?
Yes, because I was showing the insecure and the unsafe
Ah.
conditions of the property from the doorway. I was not inside the shed. I was at the doorway.
Uh-huh. You were at the doorway of the shed.
Yes.
And yet a minute ago, and then you affirmed while under oath, you said that you hadn't entered the property, that you took these pictures from the edge of the property. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. That is not what I said.
I think we've got it on the record. I think you're on tape saying that.
It's not a question, board, I request that question be stricken.
No objection.
Not proper repeating.
No objection. Strike it from the record, please. I'll stipulate to that. Now, exactly what are we looking at? Well, no, never mind. You've heard my objection. I object to entering on constitutional grounds. He's not allowed to enter the property to take pictures. I cite Edmonds versus Vincennes.
We request these be entered. Over the objection.
It's up to you guys. What do you want to do?
We're willing to allow.
I think we should take a look at it. You know, he's an inspector of the city. He has a right to investigate a situation that's unsafe, especially a building that has a door open that kids could go into and get killed.
We're going to allow them to be entered into evidence.
position, given the condition, given the condition of the property, that's all right. Given the condition of the property, as you can see, by the photos that have been presented and by the testimony of Mr. Castro, this property appears to be in a condition that requires demolition, and we would request that the demolition order be affirmed as presented. Mr. Anderson, can present any evidence.
The city has not given us any grounds to place this on the demolition list. Would you care to state grounds? I mean, there's a list of reasons you can put it on the demolition list.
And as we stated, we are standing on the notice as we presented to the board and it has been served on Mr. Anderson for the reasons for the violations of the
Mr. Anderson, did you receive that notice?
I received that notice.
Were the grounds not outlined within that notice?
This is a more complicated question than it would initially appear. I think we need to start with the
My question?
Yes, yes.
In the notice, did they outline the issues with the property that they're asking you to address?
This,
Do we need a copy of the notice?
I have a copy of the notice right in front of me. I'm sorry. So that's not the issue. Okay, if you'd like to, put it on the record.
All right. The notice of this property was tendered to Mr. Anderson by certified regular mail, publication and posting on the premises. A photograph of the posting is included in the photographs you received. So under the Unsafe Building Act, he has been tendered notice in accordance with the act. The description of the property is given in the legal description as well as the common mailing address. All interested parties were noticed, which is only Mr. Anderson, the owner of the property. The property at 1146 48 Summer Street, being a shed, has been inspected and found to be an unsafe building in violation of Indiana Code 3679 at SEC, which is the Unsafe Building Act. Sections 150, 96, and 160 of the Hammond City Code, so it is in violation of municipal ordinance. The building is deemed unsafe based on the following. It's an accessory structure. The walls are in disrepair, the roof is in disrepair, the door is in disrepair, the windows are in disrepair. The exterior service materials are not protected against weathering and includes peeling paint. There are weeds and rank vegetation. There is litter, accumulation of litter, which is depicted in the photographs, which is a violation of city ordinance. It is a hazard to public health. Is it a danger to persons or property? He was notified to repair or demolish the structure within 10 days. 30 days have passed since the time of the notice being tendered. The property is unsafe because it is unsecured. The glass is broken. It is not fenced. It is not in any way restrained to keep children from crawling into it. It is a fire hazard because a vagrant could go in there and start a fire. The windows prior to being boarded were broken and a tomato cage was stuck in, being the only secure means of keeping ingress through the window. The door would not close, so there was no way of preventing egress through the door. This is an area that is in a residential district. It is in a populated area, and it is in an area where there is no fence or other security preventing anybody. There is no danger signs warning people of the danger of this property. And more importantly, there is no posted keep out, no trespassing signs, which would inform anybody that they should not enter the property. This is an unsafe building under the Unsafe Building Act. It's defined in 3679 4.5, which specifically articulates and lists the definition of an unsafe property in the state of Indiana, and it meets all of the requirements.
Thank you.
So we've heard a nice legal dissertation there. However, it doesn't match up the fact very well, I don't think. We can look at this peeling paint thing and if you look at the photographs, I think you'll notice that the building isn't even painted. It's got a wood exterior. It's stained. We have this business about ingress and egress, but the city themselves has installed boards upon the building. I would assume that they did that correctly and didn't make it more dangerous by putting their boards up. So I don't think that can be an issue. There are absolutely no structural issues, and there's no reason to think at all that there's anything in disrepair about the walls or the roof. You can see them all by in the photographs quite clearly. Now, I think we need to review the procedural posture to really get down to the nut of this thing. The building department decided to bring this in the Hammond City Court on May 16th of 2017. And I decided to defend the case, which is my right. And it turns out that the city court doesn't agree with the building department on all these different aspects of things. And the city court is right now involved in the process of finding fact, which will confirm or deny all these allegations about the structure being unsafe or there being weeds or litter or anything like that. That's all before the city court, and it's there because the city themselves put it there. But then they don't like the way the process is going, and I think they think they're probably going to lose at this point. So what they thought they would do is instead of filing a motion to dismiss in the city court and bringing it over here, or instead of appealing the judgment in the city court or doing any number of things they could legally do, they thought they'd bring it over here and try it at the same time. So with respect to all these things that they've alleged, these are all before the court right now, and the court's there to determine whether they're true or not. And the court hasn't found that they're true. And that is why this is before your board today.
Board, we would first request that the order be entered affirmed as presented. This is a separate action under the Unsafe Building Act. This is the hearing authority pursuant to the city's ordinance, and therefore it is proper before the board.
This is an order under the Unsafe Building Act, which is different. Now, I want to make clear that the city inspector addressed the Unsafe Building Act with the judge, who did not say no, that it was not, that she was going to dismiss anything brought under the Unsafe Building Act, but she did change the subject very quickly.
Sir,
yes.
I'm going to stop you right there. This board is not here to rule on anything that is before the city court right now. It is a completely different entity. We don't have any of that evidence before us, and we have no jurisdiction over those issues.
I understand that.
We are here to determine whether or not this property should be placed under an order to repair or demolish.
Right.
So we have seen the pictures. You have stated that you believe that is an accurate depiction of the conditions of that property.
For the record.
And so I believe you did earlier when Attorney Smith asked you whether or not those pictures accurately depict the property.
I'm sorry, but for the record, that's when I elected to stand mute with respect to that question.
Well, then I will, you have not said that you believe those are accurate. Today, we're here to decide whether or not this property should be repaired or demolished to be entered onto the list to do so. Do you have anything to say to speak to those issues? Do you believe this property, are you objecting to the fact that this property requires some repairs? Are you planning to do something with it? Or are we going to sit and talk about, the Constitution and legalities of procedure that aren't, issues that aren't before this board?
Well, I'm afraid those issues kind of have to be before this board. So here is my biggest problem with this. All of these things that they're alleging, these violations of 96024, 96003, 96090, right down the list, they are all the same things that they brought in this Hammond City Court on May 16th. The Hammond City Court...
And once again, we are not the Hammond City Court. We have no jurisdiction over those issues. This case is brought before us as all these other repair or demolish cases have been brought before us today.
Okay.
We have the ability to rule on that issue. We've been presented evidence. We've been presented violations. So we need to determine whether or not we are going to affirm that order today. So if you are asking us not to affirm that order, we're going to need to hear something from you as to why we should rule in your favor.
Right. So the argument that I'm maybe not making very well, and I apologize for that, is that all of these things that they say are the reasons for this order, they already brought to the Hammond City Court. And so it's before the court. Now, the court hasn't said, yes, that those things are indeed true. Indeed, I think the court is planning to dismiss most of them And we're waiting on status for Judge Jorgensen's ruling right now. So that's my argument here. Now, is this building unsafe? I think the answer is no. Even if there was any question that it was unsafe, it's been boarded. It's secured by the city themselves. Either they were negligent in securing the building, and I don't think they probably were because they've got a lot of experience with that in Hammond, or they've secured it properly and now it is safe. Also, it's set back from the edges of the property. It's not as though it's going to fall onto someone else's property or fall into a shed. There's no allegation before the court that it's a fire hazard. There's nothing like that. It seems like they have some sort of idea that children may trespass onto the property, which, I mean, that would be terrible, right? But that's about the best they've got, is children may trespass onto the property, tear the city's boards off the windows, somehow get stuck in there. And that for those reasons, the property is unsafe, and unsafe to a point that satisfies the state's Unsafe Building Act. This seems very implausible to me. Now, I think it's probably time to close this up. We've wasted enough of your time. But this is a very awesome power that the board is given with this. You can go onto somebody else's property and tear it down. This is reserved for times when people are in danger. This is reserved for times when somebody's going to get hurt. I mean, like, not someday might get hurt, when somebody's going to get hurt. This property meets none of those requirements. And in addition to that, it's before the Hammond City Court, and they have jurisdiction they have the jurisdiction and the authority to handle all of these things themselves. So for those reasons, I ask that you do not sustain this order to demolish.
Sir, I'd like to point out for the record, this is an order to repair or demolish.
Very well.
When we board up structures due to the Unsafe Building Act, those are temporary solutions in order to give the property owner an opportunity to come before the board and enter into a rehab agreement to repair the property or have it ordered demolished. Do you have any intentions of repairing the property once this temporary solution has been exhausted? Or is it your position that there are no repairs that are needed to make this a safe building?
Well, my position is, respectfully, that that's my business.
It's also the city's business when it presents a safety hazard to our residents.
When it presents a safety hazard to the residents, that's correct.
Okay.
When it presents a safety hazard. Also, I think that what you're talking about as far as an order to repair sounds an awful lot like an injunction. And this board doesn't have that power. So that's not properly.
The notice in before you is an order to repair or demolish the property. That is all we are here to discuss today.
Well, then I would be willing.
If you want to repair the property, we can enter the order. You can enter a rehab agreement with the inspections department and bring it up to code that satisfies the inspections department to say that this building is no longer unsafe.
I understand that. I understand that that's an option. My experience with the inspections department thus far indicates that they're not completely honest about wanting things to be fixed around here. So I'm not willing to enter into any agreements with them, and I think that's a legally defensible position. I think I have the right not to in a case like this.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to make a motion to affirm the order to repair or demolish.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Motion passes.
Well, Board, our next property is 1524 Summer Street. 1524 Summer. All right, this is owned by Adani LLC. It looks like there is somebody here present. This property had a fire in 2014. The roof collapsed, the water's off, and the electric is cut at the pole. There's no gas meter. It appears to be a white cinder block structure with no roof, but I will let this gentleman, I'm also going to show the board the photos on these. And sir, are you the owner of the property?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Jose Galvin.
And what's the last name?
Galvin.
Yeah. Can you spell that for the board?
Galban.
G-A-L-B.
Galban.
Thank you.
Galban. And are you a member or manager of Adani LLC?
Yes.
Okay. Is this the?
That's the building.
That's the building. Okay. You're a lot easier than the last guy. All right. I'd like to show that to the board. This is a condition. Based on the condition of the property, where we would request that the order be affirmed. Of course, Mr. Galvin has an opportunity to speak to the board on his position.
Hi, well, I am Jose Galvin. I've been in the city for quite some time, and I have some properties around the area. Really sorry that I had to come over here and do all this. I broke my elbow. I couldn't work for 2 years, so you know, Mr. Kelly knows I've been working around, and I'm the only owner over there. So I just need the opportunity to fix it. I'm not gonna cause you no problems. I never cause you no problems, and I even had, you know, right after the fires, I had the print that I paid $1,500 for it. So, but after that, I fell and I broke my.
This is what you want to do with the
Yes,
property?
it's the same thing as just build it.
So, Mr. Galvin, if you want, or it sounds to me like you invested some money and you'd like to repair it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what we do in those situations is we allow the board to enter the order, and then you have an opportunity to go ahead and pay the inspection for the inspection
I already
fee,
paid it.
which you already paid, great. And so what we'll do is we'll enter the order, if that's okay with you, and then we'll give the building department a chance to inspect it. They'll give you a report. We'll have a report. We'll get a rehab agreement, and you can go on your way and repair it. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So we would request a agreed order. It seems that Mr. Galvin has no objection. Be entered. We will then allow him. All right. It sounds like we're going to get the inspection scheduled, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay. Motion to affirm the order.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
against? Motion passes.
Next property is 1723 Summer. It's owned by HRP LLC. I believe Mr. Young is here, but he was represented by Ms. Babcock. We had a discussion with her, and this is going to be set over for hearing on our request for the order on December 21st. So we request that continuance, please, by agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes.
7025 Van Buren Avenue, garage only. 7025 Van Buren. We have the owner listed as Reyna. Is that you, sir? Mr. Reyna? Okay, Mr. Reyna is here. The owner was previously cited in 2015 with a default judgment. We have some siding missing on the alley side. I can show the pictures to Mr. Reyna. It appears to be in a condition that at the very least requires repair, if not demolition. Mr. Reyna, I'm showing you some photos that were taken back in, a while ago, actually. Do these accurately reflect the condition of the property today?
Yes.
They do. Okay. So these are actually photos back in 2015. I actually requested these to be reviewed by the board. You can see they've been taken in 2015 and 2016. It's now before the board to examine. We would request the order to demolish be entered, and of course we'll give Mr. Reyna an opportunity to discuss his plans for the property.
Good morning.
Morning. Sorry, I got out of work at 6 in the morning, so I'm very tired. Yes, the siding has come off. It's older. I did intend to have it fixed in the springtime. On April 27th, I had emergency surgery and I was admitted to the hospital. I was out of work for 2 months. I'm a single male with the house. I live with myself. 2015, I broke my ankle, my right ankle, actually. And I've been trying to recover ever since monetarily. With my mortgage, insurance, and other bills, that's an expensive repair. I was trying to find out what the minimum repair would be. I mean, it's not structurally irreparable. It's only an eyesore, if you will. It's just the siding outside. Everything is sound and solid. Throughout the garage, it's functional. Inside, it's all drywall, so it is structurally sound. It's not moving, it's not swaying, the roof is not leaking. There's nothing wrong with it, except for the fact that the siding is what you see it. It's old and it's ripped apart.
So it would be your intention to have this repaired?
Right. I just want time to repair it, if possible.
So as you've probably heard throughout some of the proceedings today, if we were to enter the order to repair or demolish, those bids, it wouldn't go out for bid to be demolished until January. and then no action's going to happen on that for several weeks after. That would give you the opportunity to get an inspection on it again so that it can actually go through with you and tell you exactly what needs to be done, and you can enter into a rehab agreement and work on that. And as long as you're showing progress on that, you come before the board and we do status hearings, and we just need to see that you're making those steps to get those conditions repaired. Is there anything you object to with that today, sir?
Just so I understand correctly, so we're gonna enter this in, you're gonna take bids, and if I don't,
So during that time, we would want you to get with the inspections department, pay for the inspection, so you can get that list of the detailed list of what needs to be repaired, and enter into a rehab agreement with the inspections department so they can monitor the progress.
and as long as I fix it or whatever, or meet the needs, and then that's fine, I won't pay.
So I suggest you just don't wait on that.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to affirm the order.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments?
Yes.
Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes.
Last property on this list before we get to a couple status is 40 Waltham. 40 Waltham. This is owned by Mr. Reyes. Water's been off since 2016. We have an overgrown yard garage, has a tarp on it, the windows are boarded up, and a hole is in a wall. In one of the walls, there's a junk vehicle in the yard. We'd request that the order be affirmed as presented. We do have good service.
No one appears? Okay. So moved.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes.
Mr. President, next two are just status items 4401-4411 Sheffield and 833 Wilcox. The inspections department has informed us that we are simply going to allow code to monitor these, and so there is no action needed to be taken by the board. It is going to go into a monitoring status.
Okay.
As to items Q and R, 7149 Ontario and 826 Drackert, we'd request these be set over to January 25th.
Do I have a motion to set over Q and R?
To when?
January 25th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item S, rental registration hearing on property located at 6320 New Jersey Avenue. Is that property owner in the audience?
Mr. Vantas?
This is what? Okay.
Sorry, just give me a moment to get caught up here. Is my understanding, Fontes, you bought the house in 2015? It's never been registered, no affidavit on file, and you're saying your...
My mom and my sister,
mother
they're
is there?
living there. Yeah, my sister is here. And they never told me I had to get like a permit for...
Ma'am,
Because they're not
can you
really-
speak into the microphone so we can hear you a little bit?
My mom and my sister, they're living in the house.
Okay. And they've been living in it since you've purchased it?
No, 1 year ago.
Okay. So you purchased it in 2015. It's never been registered or an affidavit on the property, correct? Did you rent it out to anyone during this time at
I
all?
just moved right there for 1 year, 2 years.
Okay.
And I was taking mine, and then my mom moved from Chicago to live here with my sister.
Okay.
So
But they never told me I had to get it.
in 2015, you lived there?
Yes, to
And
fix
then
my house.
for a year while your house was being repaired? And then when you moved out to your house, your mother moved in?
Mm-hmm.
So it's never been a rental, you've never
No.
actually accepted rent? You could have an affidavit on this the whole time and,
Okay. So ma'am, we just need you to file an affidavit saying that family members live in the house so that we have a record of who's present in case of emergency situations. If you ever do rent it out, you do need to register that and come let us know that as well. Okay, so if you stay after the meeting today, you can fill out that paperwork with the inspections department, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll make a motion to dismiss.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item U, correspondence received from Gary Gleason, Director of Public Works, advising guardrail at 1803 Brown Street will be replaced, and the company that caused the damage will be billed. Requesting replacement of the no parking, requesting placement of no parking from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at 6040 Holman Avenue is going to be referred to the Hammond Police Department Traffic Division, and a denial of the request to have signage change in front of Super Sub to 15-minute parking only due to other businesses in the area. Do I have a motion approving Gary's recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye. I think we skipped T.
Oh, did I miss T?
Yes.
How come I already got
Throw
it
me
checked?
off.
Correspondence received, this is item T. Correspondence received requesting a rental registration hearing. No. Okay.
Make a motion to set for hearing on December 7th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Move to item V, correspondence from Mr. Jamie Prieto requesting Public Works drop off 2 barricades in front of 7143 Arkansas Avenue for use on Monday, November 13, 2017 through Wednesday, November 15 to allow a company that will be repairing the roof access to the front of the house.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item W, correspondence received from the resident of 238 Doty Street requesting a do not block driveway sign due to vehicle blocking the driveway, which results in numerous calls to the Hammond Police Department. That should be referred to Gary Gleason.
Okay. Motion to refer to Gary Gleason.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Having none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item X, garage sale permits. It's too cold to have a garage sale. Oh, yeah? Is it a heated garage?
Where? Columbia. Oh, it's not Old Columbia.
Okay. Motion to approve the garage sale permits.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Matters from other board members. I have one matter. I have a disciplinary action from the Hammond Police Department recommended by William Short, Assistant Chief. Do I have a motion approving the Police Department disciplinary action?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Any other matters from other board members?
Nope.
Matters from other department heads or their representatives? Yes.
Just a quick notification, Mr. President. I know there has been some concerns voiced by the city council about debris along the railroad tracks, basically along the Norfolk Southern tracks. Yesterday, they were out removing that debris. There's still some material left behind, but for the most part, they're cleaning that up now.
Do you know if CSX is going to do anything with those tracks on Calumet before winter? They're terrible.
I spoke with him Tuesday, so 2 days ago, and they apologized. I saw some crews out there this morning. I think they're evaluating. Hopefully, they'll be on that very soon. Multiple reports from Traffic Commander Vicari and others about that. I drive over those every day, and
Yeah, me too.
I call them all the time. So.
Okay. Any new business? Any old business? Meeting's open to the public. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to step up to the microphone?
Good morning to the board.
Good morning.
My name is Buddy Finney. I live at 1137 Ames Street in Hammond, Indiana. I've been a resident over 56 years. A great concern now to the community, our church. We don't want what happened in Hammond that happened in Texas. My question is this morning, how many officers do we have patrolling the city's streets on Sunday? And my other question is it the same on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays? What I'm requesting is that from the hour 9 a.m. to the hour 1 p.m. on Sundays until we have our own security system installed at our church, I'm requesting that office be from the north of Highland to the south of 165th. In that area, you'll find 6 churches. East of Columbia Avenue, there's 2 churches, so it's 8 churches from Highland to 165th. Now, I don't know how many officers patrol on Sunday, but it would be well known to the board to look into it and see can they get officers out there at that hour.
It's a request for extra patrols, so forward it down to Chief Doty and to Pat Carter. Request for extra patrols on Sundays in the areas where we listen.
Okay. Well, we'll refer that to the police department for review and recommendation.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Anyone else in the audience? If not, we need to know who's going to be paying this, right?
Okay, so there's no action? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye. Meeting's
Aye.
adjourned.
Aye.